Yeah, start streaming for God's sake. It's so slow. And we're live. We're live. We're off. This is good. We're off. Welcome to the Sunday service. It is, we're like 2 minutes early. My apologies. Stay calm, everybody. We're started a little bit soon, a little bit sudden. That's what happens at Christmas, doesn't it? You know, it's the Christmas time. Mistletoe and wine. And all that sort of stuff. It is the Sunday service on the 23rd of December. The Christmas special, you might call this one. And the Cars and Coffee Christmas special as well. We had to go because we're going to set a date for our next meetup, of course. Santa Bob is correct. I wore my little hat. I don't have any Christmas jumpers. I've never had Christmas jumpers. I don't know why. I turn on our sign. Forgot to turn on the sign, don't I? I have to introduce someone new as well. This is Trevor. Trevor is a little tiny teddy bear that we got from BMW the other day. We went to a lovely event up in Dublin. Not a BMW event. An event at the National Concert Hall called This Way to Christmas was the name of the event. But we got these little toys afterwards, and we were walking through Dublin. We came home in a train, the Lewis and everything. And I was playing with the kids, and we brought the little teddy bear home. So he's become the mascot now. Trevor's going to stick around here in the background. A few other mentions as well this year. Of course, this time of the year is a very funny time of the year for some people. We've lost people, we've gained people, people have been born, people have died. So it's the last 12 months. But at this time of the year, people can feel very, very, very lonely. And feel like the whole world is against them. Like Christmas can't be good unless they buy tons of presents. You know what's funny? The most important things to me that I miss when it comes to Christmas is people like John Flavin, which none of you may know actually. He's called Dear Blank on Twitter. John is a modern journalist just like me, worked for Honest John in the UK, and then he came to an unfortunate end in a hotel room after 1st of January this year. So he seemed to have it all. If you look at what he had, he seemed to be travelling all the time, going all over the world with Honest John and doing car reviews and getting free cars and doing all that, but still totally disconnected with life. Other people like, I miss things like Keith Chegwin's little stupid dad jokes in the morning. He died earlier on this year as well. And I miss my mother. So people you miss at this time of the year, it's not things. It's not because you can't afford the latest thing or you can't get the best thing, you can't get this, that, and the other. It's about looking after each other. So make yourself a promise. Make a promise to those around you that you will look after them first and the things later. Things happen. People will be happy with a matchbox if you look happy giving it to them. If you look like you made the thing. So do that for people. Don't do anything else for people. So it's important to keep an eye on everyone around you because this is, like I say, a weird time of the year. Don't be afraid to phone up. I checked this morning, the Pieta House, Aware, the Samaritans, Childline, they're all open and their phone numbers are available online. So just do a search. Don't be afraid to phone up and ask them and talk to them. They're professionals. And if that doesn't work for you, feel like contacting someone else, I'm available as well. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm right here on YouTube. I am by email, bobflav@thenextgear.com. Reach out to someone. Please do. Don't be afraid. People did it last year. I hope I helped people last year as best I could. But, get in touch with professionals as well. They're used to dealing with that sort of thing. They've heard it all before, folks. So don't be afraid of any of that. Right. Now that those messages are over, welcome to Christmas. Welcome to the Christmas special of the Sunday service. So many thousand of you now watch this show, and of course thousands of you listen later on podcasts and send me messages and things. It's nearly become its own little show. So much so that I got a phone call this morning from a very old dear friend of mine who I lost contact with over the years, who's absolutely psychotic into cars and wants to make a TV show about cars, or well, a show, whether it be a YouTube show or a TV show, I'm not sure. But he wants to make a TV show, so I think we're going to expand next year. I'm going to meet him in January, and we're going to go through all the detail of that and see if we can do it. I've also had a couple of other people. Oh, sorry, I'll change the light show in the background because it is freaking out. Yeah, there we go. We'll leave it a little bit more constant, maybe, yeah. I don't know, my God, they changed it. You know, they're the greatest lights ever built. They're run off a USB port. They're brilliant. But it's been, oh my God, there's so many of you here already. What the hell happened? We're doing well. This for the 23rd of December. You must have nothing else to do. You all got to do shopping done. In the words of the Irish people of the general public, are you all set for Christmas? Is what they usually say. You all set? As if Christmas is like a huge event that happens and lasts for weeks and everything closes down. Actually, nothing really closes down. And I do find, you know what? If everybody just went off home and didn't go near a shop on Christmas Day, the shops wouldn't open. Did you know that? Did you know that? And the lovely people working behind the counter who get paid, maybe, if they're lucky, they get paid double time for Christmas Day or time and a half or something for the few hours they're there. Maybe they'd get to sit at home with their families as well instead of being serving you newspapers or petrol or something. And let's just fly back to the beginning of this. I'm very into cutting off the world when it comes to Christmas and just dealing with people who are standing beside you. And so this is our lovely Christmas get-together. And then from tomorrow onwards, you probably won't hear from me on Christmas Eve. Although I will be doing a few things over Christmas Eve, of course. Visiting people. A couple of Instagram posts. If you want to follow me there, it's fine. I always keep an eye on all of my social media. So if you need me or you need to chat or something, get in touch. And I'll see if I can help you out somewhere or another. I say hello to a few people. Reggie, Freddie. Actually, I have to say hello to Sean. I met yesterday, took a selfie with me. I can't remember what your last name is, Sean. I'm sorry. Sean and his buddies, met them yesterday while we were out and about. They needed a selfie. They got a selfie in the middle of the desk, which is funny. Peter and Jane. And then there was a group of girls who their brother watches the Sunday service, and his name is Jack and her name is Sarah. And she got a selfie as well. So loads of people I met over the last few days who said hello because of the Sunday service, because of the channel here. It's going huge. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and I'm delighted. But looking at our live chat right now, Reggie Freddy said Happy Christmas wherever you are. Dan, I think he signs off there as. Don Slater says have a great Christmas to all your family. Don from Portsmouth in England, good man. Media of Line says happy Christmas from Sweden and puts 2 fingers up for the horns of the devil and all that. For Andy McAfee is in the house, good man Andy. Robert Tullock, happy Christmas, says Chris Cutmore, lovely reviews, have a great Christmas, thanks Chris. John Fitzgerald, Santa Bob, yes. Do you work for the press, says Mo Carey? Depends on what you qualify as a press. I am a journalist in that I review things and give my opinion on something. In the world of press, someone who gives a review would be called a journalist. Someone who gives an opinion would be called a journalist. Someone who reports the detail on the latest car and doesn't give any opinion would be called a reporter. There's a small distinction between the two. The journalist tends to get paid more on their own because it's their name. The reporter sometimes doesn't have their name on the report at all. So in that respect, I am a journalist, but I work for myself rather than working for the press. But I am a gun for hire, so I do freelance. So if you need words written or something, I can do that too. Tom says Merry Christmas, Bob. Good man, Tom. James McDermott says Happy Christmas. Good man. Simon Edwards, thanks for all the advice throughout the year and the excellent videos. Wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas and a fantastic healthy New Year. Good man, I like the healthy bit. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy mind. It works both ways, by the way. The more healthy you make your body, the healthier your mind will be. So keep your mind healthy as much as you can. John Fitzgerald, am I on a naughty or nice list? Whoa, I won't know until Tuesday morning what list you are going to be on. But I'm sure you probably have done a few nice things over the year that would make sure that you stay on the nice list. But then, maybe that donut you do in the back of the thing might be really good. Mo Carey says, shame BMW don't do a giant soft toy. I'm sure it's a giant version. This is not a BMW toy, by the way. This is by Paw Print. But he became Trevor. Trevor was my man. Toys and Stuff says do Trevor's catchphrase. I was doing catchphrase for a few people the other night, which was a bit of a laugh as well, which is Party Central, to do it that way. So yes. Bob, where's the Poinsettia Xmas tree, the jumper? I didn't do a jumper. Xmas tree is in the sitting room. We only have one. And the Poinsettia passed away. And we didn't buy another one because they all looked crap or really expensive. So we didn't actually buy another one. My wife is buying another one today, though, because we do always have one in the house. The Poinsettia only became a thing because it was in the background of the shot. It was never meant to be there in the first place. But yes, I don't do Christmas jumpers, so apologies there for I do a Christmas hat though. I'd wear it nicely. And my mug full of coffee, slightly Irished. By the way, if you ever want to do an Irish coffee for yourself and you're not from Ireland, you don't know how to do it, you do need to do it with whiskey. You can do it with brandy. Irish whiskey, obviously. The thing is, the coffee, if you make it from a filter coffee, it's too, how would I say, light. So cream doesn't want to float on the kind of coffee that goes over a filter thing. Usually kind of instant coffee is nearly better to make an Irish coffee with. You fill it up with water, you put a measure of whiskey or more in on top of that, you whip up some cream to soft fluffy peaks, and you spoon, with a warm spoon preferably, over the top of the coffee, leaving it sit on top of the coffee. So you create what looks like a Guinness, and you pile it up, put some shavings of nutmeg over the top of that. You can put whatever you want. You can actually do chocolate shavings or whatever you want as well on top of the Irish coffee, and then just enjoy at your leisure. Keep you warm all night, that will. Zdenko's here. Happy Christmas, Bob, and many, many happy returns. Good man, Zdenko. You're reliable, to the least of all reliable. Tom, Suzuki Jimny 2019 not coming to Ireland. I know it's not, and I talked to Suzuki about this. I talked to the marketing manager. It's WLTP. It's also supply chain issues. They got an allotment in the UK of, I can't remember, 800 or something, and it's totally sold out. And so they don't have any to give us, even if we had an ability to sell it here. But it doesn't look like it would work under our tax laws. The difference in VRT between UK and Ireland was just too big. And so they would have to drop their price, or we would have to up our price. One or the other. There would have to be something between the two that would make it more affordable here. I am really actually sickened by that. I haven't driven it. I'd love to go and drive it. I could ring Suzuki UK, obviously, and go and get a spin of it over there. But it's just not worth it to trip over, to just spin it for a car. It's not even going to go on sale there. It's a pain. Afternoon, Eric. Eric Rochford has landed. Dennis Tahovic. Very Christmas, Bob. Great video on the new A6. Yeah, I made a lot of new fans from the Audi A6 video. That got something like 14,000 hits in 24 hours. I got that little message from YouTube that says your video is going up so fast we can't register and all that shit. But it's really good. It's done really well. So I'm very happy with that. Loads more videos come, by the way. I've all sorts of things uploaded and finished and edited and stuff that are sitting there waiting to go out. There's one on the e-Golf, the Caravelle. What was the other one I did? It was not the i3S. There's that one already. Oh, loads of them. There's loads of them I've been done. I've been up day and night for the last few weeks trying to get them all together. Adrian Hogan. Hi, Bob. I'm looking to get a 2014-2015 A6 from Northern Ireland. Should I go manual or automatic? Automatic. Don't go near a manual. Never buy a manual when you're buying either a Mercedes, an Audi, or a BMW in that fleet end of it. When you're looking at the M5 or M3, or you're looking at RS6 or something, you can think about manuals then. But in the standard sort of diesel yokes, only go automatic. One word of warning is make sure you're buying the correct automatic. It's easy to say DSG, and then it turns out to be something else. Another gearbox, a ZF or something that's thrown into the car. Just be sure, do your checks, do your due diligence on it as well. It's obviously, I'm sending you over the border here, but you're going to buy it anyway over the border, so go for it. But I'd like to see, maybe you can replicate a deal in Ireland if you tell them what you're doing, but maybe if you can't, you can't. If you're looking for 2014, 2015 A6, they're fairly rare here. Sean says epilepsy warning on the lights. We've cooled down now, we're alright, we're back to normal. David Stafford says, good message, Bob, happy Christmas. I have written, it's the only time I've ever actually sat down and wrote out stuff, and I wrote on the back of an envelope as well, about Pieta House, Aware, Samaritans and Childline. You could save a life, guys. Just learn it, know it, understand it. A lot of homeless people, a lot of things. I mean, I saw the Christmas message this morning from on Taoiseach on Twitter, Leo Varadkar, or you know, it's like talking to the wall. These guys come out and think it's the best thing to do is just do a Christmas message. At this time of the year, we're thinking of our homeless. There's over 10,000 people who are registered as homeless in Ireland. They live in hotels this time of the year. And what's he doing? A Christmas message on Twitter. Anyway, you could do something more than that. The Butcher IRL says, here working away in the butcher's till 8 a.m. to 9 tonight. You see. Yeah, but you got to fulfill those turkeys and hams and bits of beef and duck and all that stuff that comes around. I know that I've been that soldier. I have worked in bars and stuff up until the wee small hours, then even done lock-ins on Christmas Eve and stuff. You know, I've done all that sort of stuff. It's a tough time. But like I say, if people would just stop buying things and go home and spend time with their family, not getting drunk, not beating people up or anything, we'd all have a better time. We'd all have a chance to stay in time at home. I talked to a lovely girl yesterday in Tesco's. The mood is brilliant this year, I have to say. People are very nice, but a lovely employee in Tesco's yesterday. She was working there last night till 3 a.m. and she'd be there tonight till 3 a.m. and then she's 3 days off. 3 a.m. Like, come on. Do we really need to buy that much stuff that people have to work till 3 o'clock in the morning to stock a shelf? Like, what the hell? Anyway, Ian Purcell, happy Christmas, Bob, and all the family, all the best for 2019. Thank you very much. Sean O'Neillwood says, bah humbug. That's the attitude you could have as well. You can go down that route to have the bah humbug, vibe about me, but I refuse to lose my lovely mask of Christmas cheer, which is generally brought about by whiskey or gin or brandy or wine or mulled wine or whatever it is that you're into. The rosy cheeks of Christmas. Robin Costa, hi Bob, Merry Christmas, thank you. What do you think of the new Toyota RAV4? Nice looking machine. It is actually, yeah, very nice. And I think Toyota might actually be on a little bit of a roll this year. You might find a few more Toyotas coming back on the road, because Toyota went through a little bit of a lull there for a while. They got rid of the Avenzas. Then it looked doubtful for the future of the Auris, which now we know is gone. It's going to be called Corolla from now on again. So there's an element of they were kind of getting rid of some things off it to bring other things on, but there was a lull between the two. Now the problem is, of course, that the press office of Toyota Ireland is very young now all of a sudden. And we'll see how that grows out, whether it will grow out to be something more mature, because you are dealing, whether you like it or not, the general Toyota owner out there is not young, you know, and people who are buying cars are more my age than younger than me. You know, young people. I spent the other day going to Dublin to the National Concert Hall from Portlaoise on the train and the Lewis. And as much as a pain in the hole Dublin is, why do people think Dublin's great? Dublin's crap. Looks nice though. But even finding a toilet in Dublin is like looking through the needles to try and find your way through, you know. Anyway, at the same time, I was able to get there on the train. An express train from here was $41.50 for the four of us, for the family. A family day return. You can't buy those family day returns on their website. You can only buy them at the machine, or you can buy them in the office at the train station. But $41.50 return plus $11.50 on the tram, which is the Lewis, was a really expensive day out. I could have easily driven to the National Concert Hall, parked and paid for parking, and driven home for the same money, if not less, in a diesel car. So just saying, like, if the public transport would get a tiny bit cheaper in Ireland, no one would buy a car. That would be the end of cars, I think. But RAV4 and Toyota itself will be going leaps and bounds in the very near future. You will find more and more and more stuff that's going on. Good God, there's 77 of you watching right now. Hit the like button. Thank you very much. Please. There's so many of you watching. This is huge. Thank you for coming along this Sunday. It's wild. 23rd of December. Am I better than television? Because at the moment they're not on TV. Even my kids are watching on YouTube. They're watching all sorts of things, but not watching TV. I can tell you that. But last night we watched Die Hard 2 on TV, myself and the missus, which is deadly. I love when Die Hard's on, even though it's not really a Christmas movie. It just takes place. Lots of dead people, lots of cursing and swearing, and everything's terrible. Colin F says, hi Bob, what are your motoring highs and lows of the year? Some things that are massively changing. There's some brilliant news. I was standing talking to a man the other day about Chinese influence over cars and trucks and things in the forthcoming months, and it's going to be huge. And anyone who's ignoring China at the moment they're ignoring a master plan that China has always done, which is the economic invasion. That's generally what China has done. Well over 500 years ago, they sent out 100 trade ships worldwide and just traded with every country, which is why for generations, even though Irish people were going to America for years and years and years, there was always Chinese laundromats and then Chinese restaurants. They were always there. Chinese go in and open businesses. That's how they win. They don't invade anywhere. They just turn up all the time. The Chinese are everywhere worldwide. They've got plenty of money right now. They've got plenty of cash flow. They want to spend it, and they want to spend it on Chinese things. And so you'll hear of names. Maybe off the top of my head, I know like Dongfeng Industries, which they create. They have their own brand of cars, but they own multiple parts of other smaller businesses. Brilliance is another car company. They own multiple parts of other businesses out there. They also make their own cars. There's many of them coming, and Chinese money is quite big. It's like Indian money at the moment. There's a lot of it out there. So that's coming. And that will be a high that's coming very soon. And I hope we're on the right side of that. I hope Ireland and electric cars. I know there's a competitor electric car coming next year. That's going to be a competitor for Tesla, but about 20 grand cheaper and easily the same range. It'll be made in China. It'll just be a copy, and that's it. They don't care. They'll just copy it. And then it'll change enough to get by the copyright laws, and that'll be the end of that. Because that's what they always do. Motoring lows this year, finding out about Gosen and everything that's happening in the Renault-Nissan alliance. That's been a low. And then of course the Volkswagen cheat scandal, which was set to erupt and be a bigger thing, and has been kind of swept away under the carpet. There's so many things that's gone on this year, which is kind of sad for the car industry. And of course, it's becoming a much faster moving industry. There don't seem to be car industry generally and SIMI and all that. They don't seem to be planning for the next 6-7 years. They seem to be planning for the next 6 or 7 months. And it's going to be the end of dealerships if that continues. And that's the terrible part is the dealers are the ones that are going to suffer here, as less and less people want to deal with them and want to turn old-fashioned dealerships into something new. So that's, I think, one of the lows that's actually coming. But definitely some of the high points of car driving this year has been some of the international offers are brilliant. The Audi Q3, which is coming as well. I have it booked in for next year already. The Q8 booked in as well. There's loads of cars coming. There's loads of brilliant things that are happening out there right now. It was a great year for the car industry. Some brilliant machines that were launched this year. Ford Focus, Kia Ceed, Volkswagen Polo. There's multiple, even that kind of small car segment thing that came out was just absolutely brilliant cars that have appeared out. It's great. I just hop forward. See, it forgets to refresh. Then when you scroll, it suddenly just jumps forward. It's been doing that forever. Does anyone you two ever watch any of these things just to find out how to fix something like? Paul Hickey says, Happy Christmas, Bob. Did you ever think of doing a motorcycle review? I don't have a motorbike license. I used to have one years ago. I used to get them out willy-nilly, and I'm able to ride bikes. Well, I haven't ridden a bike in years. Like, so I suppose like riding a bicycle. Just get up and do it again. I don't, but there are experts out there like Tony Turner, Dave Humphreys, who do motorbike reviews, and Michael Sheridan and stuff. I don't really get involved. There wouldn't be that many motorbike machines to actually get here to review. You can buy pretty much everything, but stock wise, like press offices and stuff, that's all done from the UK really. BMW would have Motorrad, and BMW here in Ireland would be the biggest one for motorbiking, which is probably why there's so many BMWs on the road. But other than that, I don't know enough about motorbikes to review them, to give an opinion on one. Robert Madden says, Happy Christmas to you and the family, Bob. Thank you very much, Robert. You're very kind. Sean and about Stephen Hawkins. Stephen Hawkins? Oh, yeah. Stephen Hawkins. That's true. I can't read that. As ancient Greeks say, healthy brain and healthy body. There you go. It's written in Greek there as well. I'm nearly sure I had that written on a t-shirt. I went to Athens back in 97. When it was a kid. And it was a terrible place. Just not long after some kind of an Olympic thing that was going on. It was dreadful. But it was I was an experience, great experience though. Brilliant. I had great fun. God, I had great fun. Sang and danced and drank ouzo and bought t-shirts. And I'm sure there was something written down in front of the t-shirt that was like that. Healthy brain, healthy body was written in Greek. Martin M. Hey Bob, Happy Christmas. What do car dealerships do before they release a new car to a customer? They do a thing called a PDI. If you're talking about the technical part of what they do, besides registering the car, you know, they have to get it taxed, check your insurance, and they have to register a license plate with the tax office. Now that's very straightforward, but PDI is a pre-delivery inspection. So what they're looking for is often cars that have been on transporters will have suspension bumpers in them, which is a thing that you have to take off the top of the shock to make sure the shock can actually do its travel properly. You check all of the nuts and bolts on the car, on the exterior, particularly on the wheels. You're checking the brakes don't have any grease linings on them, because you have to. There's a spray. You might not do it anymore, but there's a coating that gets put onto a brake disc to stop it rusting while the car is standing in the yard waiting for delivery. And that has to be taken off, because if you brake with that stuff on, nothing will happen much. It usually burns off the first few feet. You're taking all the stickers off. You're making sure that there's no covers on any of the seats. The plastic wraps are all removed. That all of the lights have gone out. That it's fully full up with oil and fluids in general. You're giving this first start. You put in 20 quid worth of fuel and make sure it runs. All that sort of, they're all the kind of things. It's a fairly straightforward job, but it can turn out to be maybe half a day if something's missing. Like if something isn't in the car, like a jack or a wheel brace or something that's been left out in the factory and stuff, that has to be replaced. And they don't usually carry a stock of these things. It's not like dealerships have 5 or 6 wheels at the back and just throw in any car. They don't. They usually don't. So there can be quite a bit of work to go into a PDI depending on the brand. Some brands demand a huge PDI, other brands demand a very small one. Sometimes you see cars turn up on the back of trailers and all the stickers are already removed. Other times you see like Audi or Volkswagen where the car is almost completely covered in these kind of cloth cover things. They all have to be removed anyway, but still things have to be done every time. It can be quite an epic job. Russ Catrell says, giant soft tie for BMW X5 or X6 perhaps. Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? I don't think I'm booked into the X5. I should book that, shouldn't I? So many cars. I'm actually booked up to next March, I think, already for cars. So it's hard to get ahead of them all. And now I have this other TV show thing that's coming on as well, which will also require cars and access to all sorts of wild crap. Anyway, it's a wild idea. We'll see if we can pull it off. Brian Whelan, Bob, can I get a Ford Focus 1.5 petrol automatic ST line? They're available in the UK, but can't find one in Ireland. Brand new, yes. Used, probably not, because it's been around a little bit longer in the UK than it has been here. But they are, the 1.5 automatic ST line is here. I'm sure I've tested that. I tested 2 Ford Focuses a couple of months ago. One of them was a 1 litre EcoBoost, the other one was a 1.5, and I'm certain the 1.5, yes it was. It had a twisty knob thing. Not power shift though. It's a twisty knob for automatic, not a stick. So definitely there, Brian. I've driven it and should be available for you at all times. But if not, get in touch with me again. I'll ask Ford Ireland, can they look into it for you and see if we can get one. If you want to order one, I'm sure they're not going to turn your money away or anything like. Sean reckons the Poncetta couldn't handle the fame. No, it's true. It got fame shy. It went, no, can't deal with that no more, and signed off and wouldn't be part of the show anymore. The one last year just got too old. Long-term viewers remember last year's Poncetta, which lasted into nearly June of last year. When we took our summer break from the Sunday service, it passed away. But that was never supposed to last that long anyway. They're only supposed to last a little bit. The classic instant coffee is Nescafe. Yeah, any instant coffee would do. If you like to taste the instant coffee for an Irish coffee, you're going to be flying. Don't buy any old cheap chicory crap though. You can use filter coffee, but it just the cream finds it harder to float on it. That's the problem with the instant coffee, is it's thinner and finer, and the cream tends to soak all the way through. Good tip for you, if you want really nice cream but it won't float, I guarantee it. If you go up to Tesco's and you look for heavy brandy cream, it's gorgeous. It goes great on any sort of pastry like that. It's a couple of quid, not terribly expensive, but it's lovely. You'll put on pounds weight. Marcus Hogan, hey Bob, back as always, good man. Saw 4 different i8s in Galway yesterday. Weird times. i8s. Yeah, I actually saw 2 of them the other night in Dublin, weirdly. I don't know where they've all come from. There wasn't that many of them sold in the first place. Maybe just people bring them up for Christmas because they look like Santa Claus's reindeer-driven cars or something. I don't know. Martin M. Also, Bob, what's the issue with 1.5 engine in Karoq? Seems to be a lot of issues highlighted online. I see that too. It's hard to say. When I see them online, you tend to see them all in the one shot. So you only ever really see the complaints about a car. Which reminds me, the Sunday Service community over on Facebook pointed out that Apple Green petrol and diesel is giving an awful lot of problems in their cars. That they put €50 in using Apple Green, and they're getting splutters and bangs and noises out of the back of the car, like the petrol has water in it, which would be the reaction of petrol and water mixing together. But the same for diesel, so it's a bit weird. And it's the same for the 1.5 engine in the Karoq. I've seen a few issues online, but I've also seen a pile of people say it's brilliant. So I don't know which one to believe. I don't hear any messages from Skoda or Skoda Ireland. Obviously I can't check right now, they're on holidays, but I can look for you in January when they all come back, or on the in-between. I can phone on a personal level. I can phone someone who has some Scott and ask them questions. But if there's a recall, I will certainly let you know. But at the moment, I don't think there's that much of a problem. But it might turn into something as time goes on. Usually we only hear the tip of the iceberg at first. Robert Tulloch, my daughter is bringing her new boyfriend for Christmas. But that's bringing a boyfriend. I have 2 small daughters. Like, one, the oldest one is 10. She should be 11. And a daughter boyfriend's things. Right, no, let's gloss over that. He drinks Japanese whiskey only. I have Jameson's. If Jameson's not good enough, tell him to drink somewhere else. Now, that's him. By Powers. There's a huge range of whiskies out there. Many years ago, I was a barman. Professional one, I mean. Not just a barman who just serves drinks. Someone who's actually interested in being a barman. I learned all about whiskies and brandies and wines and wine and food matching and sommelier stuff and all that kind of thing. But the width and breadth of whiskies has now transferred into gins. There's so many gins, actually it's hard to tell which one to buy. We bought Hendrick's gin this year. We bought Bushmills whiskey just to have a. I know, don't get me wrong. I know it's not necessarily Southern Ireland whiskey. Powers and Jameson more the Irish whiskey, but I quite like Bushmills. They just have a mild flavour to it. But if it's Japanese whiskies, after the width of Japanese whiskey is absolutely huge. He's probably very young in that he's probably watched a bit of PewDiePie, who is into whiskies as well, and did a whole episode on Japanese whiskey. Hi Santa, thanks Paul. What do you think about the 2011-2012 Ford Mondeo Titanium X 2-litre TDCi, a good buy? They are a good car, a bit floppy around the edges because it feels like a big car when you're sitting in it. It's not much bigger than a Passat, but it just feels much denser and heavier. It's a lovely car to drive. They're remarkable things. Over the years they've gotten bigger and heavier, so they've lost their kind of agile handling. But still, they're a decent car. That 2-litre TDCi is as old as the hills and will go round the clock for you. The only problem with Ford is things tend to creak and rattle and random. It's like I've had Mondeos where the windshield wipers just go and then they stop. Just stop doing that for no reason, and then they start again some other time. Or where you turn right in a corner, turn left, and as you're doing it, the seat creaks underneath you. Just when you turn left. I've had these kind of random things that have happened for us, but the engines have always been 100%. The bigger diesel engines, of course, their move into EcoBoost and stuff has caused them a lot of problems, but other than that, their 2-litre TDCi has been fine. If you can get the I know on certain territories they sell it with the Ford Ranger engine. That's really good, but you won't get that here in Ireland. Go for the 2-litre TDCi, no problem. Titanium will give you all of the options, including that touchscreen in the centre, and you'll have all the manual controls as well. It's a good buy. It won't be a bargain buy. Titanium is not cheap, but it'll be a good buy for you, Paul. Yes, thanks for calling me Santa. Have you driven an electric Smart? God, I hope not. Are they coming back? I don't want to drive any more Smart. The new one now called the EQ. Even as electric has a key you can have to turn and start. I know. God, Smart and Barabbas and all, they just stick, like, people buy a Smart when they live in Rome. If you've ever driven in Rome, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Going 10 metres on the road in an ordinary sized car is a nightmare. Trying to find anything even remotely like parking in Rome and Paris. Oh God, there's so many European cities is really like that, but those two cities stick out in my mind as being some of the most difficult places I've ever driven. And a Smart makes sense there, really, which is they're lovely, but I do hope they come back with something more useful than the Smart 4.2. I know what they're building for it, not an Irish car, but maybe Athens might like a Smart 4.2, don't know. Redwords28 says, hi Bob, what do you think resale will be like in a few years on new electric SUVs? Depends on range. I'm not predicting a huge jump in range, right? I think we've done the jumping part of range. So we went from like 100 kilometers to 200 to kind of now up around the 400 to 500 kilometer range. That was the big jump. The range, if you would jump into a standard kind of 1 litre petrol car and you fill it up with petrol to the very brim, when you turn the key and you start to drive, it'll say between 600 and 700 kilometers range on a petrol car. Chances of you actually getting that are a little bit slimmer than you think, but you'd be somewhere in that region. A diesel car tends to be 1,000 kilometers, between 8 and 1,000. Now, not Mazda 6, but between 8 and 1,000 on most of the diesel engine cars. If an electric car can land between the 600 and 1,000, it will completely obliterate an ICE engine cars. The need for it will be gone entirely. The biggest issue, and thanks hugely to a link that I found on Irish EV owners on Facebook. Thank you very much for having me as a member, by the way, even though I don't own an EV. But the biggest problem we have right now is how fast we can push electricity into a car, how fast it can be done, and how much waste that generates, and how quickly we can get cars in and out of parking spaces, because Jaguar I-Pace is a big battery in it. If you pull up to a fast charging unit in anywhere, you're going to be connected through CCS for 2 hours to charge a Jaguar, even a fast charge. So because it tapers out, it starts very fast and slows off. So getting faster and faster and faster is a problem. Another point I must point out as well, I see Bobby Llewellyn has put up a first drive of a Volkswagen ID. It strikes me as an entirely paid ad. I don't know why it did. It just did. As soon as I started watching, I was going, what is it? Not nobody's talking about. He's reviewing a car that isn't even available. He can't talk about it. Just to be first. It just struck me as being something that wasn't about being a journalist, just about being first. Anyway, so it looks good. Volkswagen ID. I'm sure it won't be called ID when it comes out, because of something else entirely. But as resale value on electric SUVs you're buying right now, that's an unpredictable. There's a guaranteed minimum future value for these cars, but really it's not terribly predictable how it will go and how it will be received. Jaguar I-Pace is remarkable. The Audi E-Tron, which is coming this year, seen it, lovely, really good, really looks great. Range looks good, and Audi seem to be doing what they said they were going to do, which is create a car that will work. So let's hope it's going to turn out to be nice. It'll probably devalue at the rate of an ordinary SUV. It won't hold on to its value any better than a diesel one would. Hi Bob, I love these kind of people who just turn up and do something really stupid like that. It took you so long to get here, and then all of a sudden you're it. Now, there you are. You're in timeout now. It's Christmas. Let's keep it above the waist, right? Should we still buy diesel? For the next 5 years, you are safe buying diesel for sure. After 5 years, it becomes a little trickier, because right now, every car company is striving really hard to create something that will sell. That's all they really want to do. Whether that generates jobs or gets people fired, it doesn't really matter to them. They have to sell stuff. Sorry, someone else phoned me there. They just want to sell things. That's all they're really about. So the more that they sell, the more that they will make money. And if that means that they can sell diesel alongside petrol, alongside electric, which is very similar to what Hyundai has done, for instance, with the Ioniq, there's a hybrid. And there's an electric version of it. So you can have a petrol powered, you can have an electric version, and they also have diesel engined cars that you can buy. And then there's the Kona coming out, which is going to be all electric, but there is a petrol version of that, there is a diesel version of that. So all they want to do is to make sure you are able to buy cars. Right now, there is no way you can get rid of diesel in a foul swoop. You can't just kind of go, no more diesels. It's just not possible. The UK government and their idea of getting rid of by 2040 or 2030 or whatever it is, they're dreamland. There is no way it can be done right now. It can't. You get into a diesel car and you turn the key. I did this in the Audi A6 video when I was talking about it. You start it up and it said 1,250 kilometers on the dashboard. You just cannot do that in an electric car. It would take you 2 days to do that electric car, at least. Even the longest range ones. So right now, as long as you're not looking to hold on to a diesel for 20 years, if you want a classic car diesel in 20 years' time, you might have a problem. But other than that, I don't think you will have a problem. How are you, Bob? I'm Dub, and that's a tad harsh. Not really, Trevor. When you've been around Dublin for enough times, I live on both sides of that fence, so I go to Dublin visiting, days out, nights out, and then I come home here to Portlaoise, days out. And people from Dublin go, Portlaoise is very rough, isn't it? You're not even looking at Dublin. The bits of Dublin you walk into there, just walking around the streets. You go into a huge big Pennies in Dublin and ask about a toilet. No, we've no toilets. A store with 5 floors in it has no toilets whatsoever. The one in Newbridge has toilets. The one here in Portlaoise has toilets. No toilets. And the reason they don't have toilets, because it's too rough. If they open them up, they'll be all in there. The junkies be inside. And all the homeless people. It's just rough. Dublin needs to look at itself hard and then look at who's leading it. And these guys putting out videos like your Taoiseach this morning, Leo Varadkar, pretending that all is well in the world and they're doing something to help out. What are they doing? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They're turfing people out in Roscommon. That's what they're doing. And allowing it to happen and refusing to bring in legislation that covers what happens in the event of lads in black balaclavas turn up at your front door to drag you out at 2 o'clock in the day. Anyway, with the help of the guards. I love the A6 video. Thank you very much. That was a long video, actually. That was not intentionally long, just was a long video. Some people complain about the music. It's funny, the most popular videos I put up in the last while have the weirdest music on them. So they would complain and kind of go, well, everybody's watching it. What do I do? Toyota is number 1 in Greece for some years now. Behind there's VW, Peugeot and Nissan. Depends on how you measure what is a number 1. So in Ireland we have a top 10 car registrations, it's called. And so basically how many cars are registered in a year. Now the problem is that car dealerships and car manufacturers here do a thing called pre-regging. Nothing particularly wrong with pre-regging. It doesn't affect your sales. But what it means is you can say I sold 100 cars last month when actually didn't sell them. You registered 100 cars last month and then you deregister them the month after. And it's a cheesy way of getting number 1 position. Actual physical sales of a car means going to an end user, means a person driving it out the forecourt, is usually a vastly different number month to month. But the yearly one is about right. We are going to end up down on car sales this year, by the way, Ireland in general. Not to end on a downer, I think there's great hope for us in the future. But we need the dealerships to transfer again to be smarter about how they sell, what they sell, who they sell to. Sean McCabe says, Paul Bulger, give him a Jameson. All of the whiskey is inferior. Yeah, Powers would be pretty good as well. I kind of like Powers and Jameson would be my two. Jameson is nice, has been nice for a very long time. If he's not happy with it, tell him to bring his own bleeding whiskey. I tell you what you do. Phone him up and say, I know you like the Japanese whiskey. Bring over a bottle and tell me what it's like so you can show me what you think of it. He brings his own whiskey and it costs you nothing. Deadly. 11,100 Toyotas January, November, 8,600 VW, 7,700 Peugeot and 7,600 Nissans. There's dealerships out there right now whining for those numbers that have just appeared on the screen. They'd love to be selling how many cars here in Ireland. Andy Era says, Merry Christmas, Bob. Hope you see more of your videos next year and hopefully we'll test drive some hybrids next year. Loads of that coming, Andy. Loads. Hopefully Toyota will put on the new Camry, the new Corolla and the new RAV4. I've already booked in electric car world. I've already booked in the Hyundai Kona, a Nissan Leaf, the Jaguar I-Pace. I've just driven the Volkswagen e-Golf again. I've booked in the new i3, which has the 64 kilowatt battery, or is that 100? I can't remember, the bigger battery one. New Nissan Leaf coming with a new bigger battery in it as well. So there's absolutely jam-packed stuff up to March next year booked in already. So it's going to be a very busy year. Plus radio show possibly on the way. TV's never been a destination, but it looks like we're going to make something on television. BBC were in touch with me at one point as well about not Top Gear, relax, about doing something over there too, and another production company from the UK. So it's a busy year, but I've had all those offers before, so don't get your hopes up on anything like that. I never do. Just those offers come all the time as people find some money down the back of a sofa and go, oh, let's make a car show with Bob in it, and then it all falls apart. Almost 1 in 5 people on Earth are born in China. 1.417 billion people officially as of 2 days ago. The official recorded births are not all that accurate though. Massive. China is a enormous economy that we all ignore over here as if it doesn't happen. You get some clever business guys who go over and buy cheap Chinese stuff to sell over here. The Chinese are more than happy to supply that to you. But in the background, and I know this, when they wanted to make an electric car system over there, they came over to the Geneva Motor Show and the Paris Motor Show and they took pictures. I met these journalists, these guys and these other car makers. They came and took pictures of everything. They went back to China and within 3 weeks they had built a factory to build batteries that's the size of Ballymun. Think of a big chunk of Dublin. They just built a factory. They planned it, they built it within 2 years. It was up and operational. They are producing batteries in China faster than Tesla can ever do. They have access to lithium, by the way. They have their own plants and their own way of getting over there. And they've already created a Tesla beater that is now available in Ireland. You could put it on sale here pretty easily, like a Model X style car with the same sort of software in it. For about 70 or 80 grand, you could have it landed here in Ireland as a Model X, which a Model X sells here at about 120, 130 grand. Like, if you can throw it out, you can do what you want, but that's the way the Chinese operate. They just make it and then they put it out. And somebody goes, oh, copyright, that's ours. And go, okay, well, we change enough things to get around the copyright. Here you are. There it is again. That's it. That's all they do. There won't be any competing with them when they actually get going here in a big way. Cross 13, the Chinese face many of the same battery supply issues as the Western manufacturers. They do, yes. They also pay the same price per kilowatt because batteries are basically a commodity. Correct, but generally the Chinese will find their own way. They do everything themselves. They're incredibly insular. They find a way through by buying it, by trading with it, or by digging it out of the ground themselves. They are doing it that way around. That's what I'm hearing from people in China, particularly as I talk to Representative Dongfeng car company, who are literally about to release 4 or 5 electric car models on their Shanghai show in the near future. So they're at it. They are really at it, and that's the stuff we know about, not even the stuff behind the scenes. BYD brought the 45 kilowatt BYD ES to Europe. Even the right-hand drive uses taxis in London. A year after the Leaf, they still cost nearly 50 grand after import. Yeah, watch as all those prices start to follow. I know from the technical side what's happening, but I'm listening from the background business side of it as well, how the Chinese do business and how they just march on through very quietly, very carefully, buy things up and just keep on going, and that's how they do it. Seen brand new cars delivered post PDI with suspension blocks left in. I know, I've seen that myself. Scary dangers can cause substantial damage. I'll tell you what's the scary part is, you don't know they're left in until you've hit a speed bump. Like, it's only when the shock won't travel all the way in that you realise there's a problem. That's all that really happens. It's scary stuff though. Dominic Gavin, Merry Christmas, Bob. Looking forward to more Sunday service in New Year. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Dominic. You're very kind. Kyo's Car Valeting. Happy Christmas to you and all the family. Thank you very much, Kyo's Car Valeting. Hope you have plenty of valets to bring you through 2019. BYD gets a pass on a battery supply. They manufacture their own lithium iron phosphate packs, heavier than NCM others use. 3 years out of the last 5, they were the largest EV manufacturer in the world. There's a Chinese one. That's BYD. There's another couple of ones they're all invested in it. They're all looking at it. They all know it's coming. The Chinese know it's coming, and the Chinese also know that places like Shanghai, you can't see out of a 4th floor window with the amount of smog in the place. So they're also aware of their own smog problems. By the way, Chinese people, when you see them wearing the mask, you see them in airports and things, they're wearing masks over the face. That's not for smog. That's because it's almost in their mind. It's almost totally illegal to make somebody else sick. And so when they get a cold, they put the mask on, they leave it on. They just leave it on. And they don't want to get a cold themselves. So it's more about protecting themselves from getting a cold, getting a flu, that sort of stuff than anything. Andy McAfee, if you scroll through the comments there, Andy has posted a link to our Facebook group. I'm only nearly 30 minutes behind in questions already. I'm doing well. Last week it was way behind. So Andy has posted a link to our Facebook community, which you can join and keep in touch with. Many cool people in that Facebook community answer questions all the time. Darren is like a serial conversation starter, but everybody else joins into all kinds of bits and pieces. If it's car related, you just want to chat, if you've nothing better to do on Christmas Day, click in and just have a little chat to the boys about what she's got for Christmas for the crack. We'll all be there. We'll all be hanging around at some point. And if you want to talk to me on Facebook, I'm there as well. So you can get in touch with me that way. Not the best way, by the way. I'm not really good at responding to messages on Facebook. So if you're sending me messages, I'm sorry. I only check it once in a while. Most of my messages come through Instagram, which I'm at Bob Flavin there. On Twitter, not as much on Twitter anymore. Or here on YouTube. So that's where most of the messages come through. So you can send me messages wherever you want, or just bobflav@thenextgear.com. If you can support the channel, I know it's this time of the year, it's a funny time of the year, but if you want to support the channel, super chat down below. There's a link to PayPal there as well, or go to paypal.com and search for bobflav@thenextgear.com. Or you can use Patreon, which is another way to support the channel as well. I can't think of another way you can support the channel other than just subscribing. Just hit the subscribe button. I'm going to turn on the light just in case things are getting a bit dark on your end. That camera might be just getting a bit toughened. Oh no, it's alright. Looks okay. It's alright. My God, there's so many of you here this week. Is there not? Are you cooking or what are you doing? I'm cooking at the moment. I'm making bread. I have bread on. I do just a standard loaf bread that I make as well. It's a very high hydration bread, so I put a lot of water in it. It stands for like 2 hours, then you just tip it out and fire it in the bin or fire it in the oven and away you go. But we have our turkey and ham and vegetarian things gone right out the window this time of the year. Just we like turkey and ham and the kids want it as well, so we're going to go for that. And then we go back to vegetarianism again in January, possibly veganism. Where were we? Jeff Firth, a 1 litre EcoBoost fire starter. Yes, I know, I've heard all the stories. I've seen a few things in the UK particularly. Haven't really heard a lot of stories about it here in Ireland. Maybe it was taken off the market very quickly or something, but EcoBoost does have its own problems at the moment and was being ignored by Ford. They don't seem to be ignoring it as much anymore because there's no people shouting about it. The i8 makes good sense as an import from the UK now. VRT credit and just slipping under the £45,000 in the UK. Yeah, I didn't think it didn't age very well. It's still a remarkable, you still see it and go, oh, that's a nice car. But it didn't age very well. I think it lost a lot of its look very quickly. Even the Roadster one left me a little bit cold. I didn't have it officially from BMW, but it did have a little spin in it. Sorry, BMW. Just had a little drive around the block. Adrian, is that your actual name? Have you got 2 first names? Is your parents really mean and called you? Or is your last name Adrian? Just called you Adrian as well. I know some parents are like that. I remember there's a good friend of mine many years ago. I haven't seen a guy in decades, and his name is Connor O'Connor. Someone, that's his parents being just like, we're just going to mess him up forever. It's just easier to remember, isn't it? His first name is the same as his last name, so we won't forget what the child's name is. Anyway, Adrian says, hi Bob. I had for 1 week the new Ford Focus 1 litre EcoBoost as a courtesy car. Nice car, but but I was really not impressed by the engine at all. Did you try it on the Fiesta? Thanks. Yeah, I think the 1 litre EcoBoost, fireside stories aside, the 1 litre EcoBoost is lovely in the smaller cars. So in the Fiesta, in the car, in the smaller engine stuff. Once it goes into the Focus, it's too light. The car needs to feel heavier on the road. And it just doesn't. It loses its main weight component, which is the EcoBoost engine, or which is the engine, or should be the engine, 1.5 engine or the bonnet. And that's the problem with the EcoBoost. It has power, but the other problem with EcoBoost is that the little turbo, and there is a little turbo inside, it spins at 250,000 RPMs. That's crazy. There is nothing on earth that can spin at 250,000 RPMs and survive beyond 5 years. Imagine doing that every day or every week for 600 kilometers a week. 250,000 revolutions per minute for 600 kilometers a week. It's just crazy. It can't do it. So I'm not surprised these things are going on fire or breaking down. They just couldn't keep that up forever. So I do like the car. I do think the 1.5 litre petrol is a better engine in it. The diesel one is fine as well. But when it goes down to the 1 litre, I think stick it into the Fiesta. Great little engine in that. It's fine in a Polo, and not EcoBoost, obviously, the 3-cylinder one that Polo puts out. They're all okay engines, but they're only suitable for small cars on short journeys, not for big cars on long journeys. Andy McAfee says, randomly had a new fleet of Focus Estates delivered to work in 2013 on a blazing summer's day, and had to take one for a couple of hours later into Germany. The smell of plastic glue was so strong. I know, on new cars. It's funny, I don't smell new car smell anymore. The amount of times that people get into the cars that I'm driving to go, oh, I love the smell of new cars. Oh, it's lovely in there. I have not smelled new car smell. I don't know how long, so I forget what it smells like. The only thing I smell like you, Andy, would be the smell of the glue and the stickiness around the car. It's just so new sometimes. I just dropped back a GDI Opel Corsa, which had 350 kilometers on it when I got it. So I was the first journalist in the country with it, and as soon as I drove it out, I could instantly smell the glue off it and the kind of last remnants of everything, the last driver that was there. I couldn't smell anything else, mind you. Saw a video of an Opel Astra twin top where pressing the horn, the radio volume goes up, and by pressing the voice up button lowers the volume. Well, French cars and some German cars, but Opel and Vauxhall, particularly the ones that were made in the UK, the Vauxhalls, had a lot of electrical issues. You can imagine the amount of... I don't know if you've ever seen a wiring loom that runs the car. So if you ever get a chance, ask a mechanic. Some of the older cars, you can actually see the wiring loom on. More modern ones are inside a tube system, so they can't be damaged. But as thick as my fist, of wires that all go through a point of the car called a wiring loom to run all of the various electrical components around the car, not just the radio or whatever, but you're talking about everything, all the lights on the roof, the light in the boot, they're all electric. They draw power from the battery, which is drawing power from, used to be the distributor cap, now it's more of an ECU system, but it's all basically run through wires. So if you mess one of those wires, or there's a nick in one wire and a nick in another, and the two of them are crossing on one another, you're going to get all kinds of problems happening on the car. I was behind a Renault Laguna the other day. When you pressed the brakes, the indicators came on. Just came on and stayed on. They weren't flashing. They just lit up, just like brake lights, but they were yellow. Weird. Like the weirdest things happen to cars at times. But some cars have it nailed. They don't get electrical problems. I'm thinking about Volkswagen Group General here. They don't really get electrical problems. BMW the same. Mercedes do get electrical problems, quite a number. When you get the Land Rover, Range Rover, they're just plagued with the things. There's so much stuff that goes on in them that's why I'm very nervous at the Jaguar, to be honest, Jaguar I-Pace. That's just an electric car. I mean, they have electrical problems in a diesel car. What are they going to do in an electric car? Andy says, I ended up going to my doctor's surgery and they called an ambulance as I went downhill fast. What? Where did that come? Please focus on. Oh, the smell. Oh, okay. So you smelled the glue was so new on it. You overdosed from the glue. That's not good. Don't do that at home, children. Don't mess with glue or any solvents or anything else. Oven cleaners or any that sort of stuff. Ridiculous. As for EV resale value, put it this way. If you bought a used 2011, 2015 Leaf 2 or 3 years ago, it was worth €1,500 to €2,000 more today. Tesla Model S has the lowest depreciation in its class, beating the S-Class. Only so many sold new as increasing second-hand demand. I see no change in the horizon for that. Electric car, yeah, at the moment, electric cars are highly desirable, and I mean really desirable. You go up to adverts or you go to Dun Dealer and you do a search for a Nissan Leaf, you'll see how few there are for sale and how much money they're looking for the things. There's so few that they've set up businesses in Ireland here that only sell imported Nissan Leafs or electric cars in general. So, but Nissan Leaf would be the most prolific one. That's the one you're most likely to get a hold of. There's just so few others that were released on the market at the same time, and we still only have, is it 4 or 5? It's not a huge amount of all electric cars to choose from that are brand new. So really, the market is still not getting anywhere near sort of a settled element that we can figure out where it's going and how it's going to get there. God, there's loads of you still watching. Who clicked the dislike button? Somebody clicked the dislike button. You're very naughty of you. Just clicked it, but click something. You can click the like button. Click the subscribe button is the most important part. Of course, it is Christmas. We have to remember that I'm wearing a Christmas hat. And if I take it off now, I'll have hat hair. So I can't take it off now. It's on and it's staying on for the whole thing. But Merry Christmas to all of you who have been listening since the beginning of this year. It's been a long year. It really has. And this time of year, you tend to reflect backwards towards what's happened, but you don't think so much about what's coming until Christmas Day has passed. And of course, our kids' minds are entirely on the 25th of December. And tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Just give them a good time. That's all they want, is your time, really. I know they ask for PlayStations and video games and dolls and toys and groups and things, but it's actually you they want to spend time with. They want you. So if you buy them Lego or Santi brings them Playmobil or whatever it is, build it with them. Build it with them. Stop for a minute. Dinner will wait. Food can wait. Everything else can wait. Stop and spend some time with them. That's all people ever want. And like I said when I started off the top of the show, the things I'll miss this year is people like dear blank John Flavin, who went away this motoring journalist. I only met him a few times on international trips, and I meet people up and down over the years on trips that I get to know, particularly when I go out with the UK guys somewhere like John Flavin or you know, many others, Alex Guy and all the other guys that I meet regularly here and there. And I meet guys from Israel, I meet guys from Sweden and Denmark and stuff. You lose contact with them almost immediately. You very rarely make friends with people in this game, just because it's sporadic. It comes and goes very quickly. So it can be hard to find them. But really, people only ever want time. That's all they want. Your time, your input, your smile, your attention for a few minutes. Not a thing. Things are forgotten about. They break, they get lost, they're gone. People don't. They're never forgotten about. So bear that in mind this Christmas, that as we go into the next few days, it's going to become really hectic and all about films and movies and everything. Actually, it's just about people. That's all you got to worry about. Anyway, back to topic. Sorry, Ricky Finley. Hi, Bob. Why are electric cars so expensive? They're just expensive to make. In fairness, it's very hard to get the batteries. It's very hard to make not very hard to make them, but it's very hard to make the parts and to develop them. There's a lot more development has to go into it because there's a lot less investment over the years in electric cars that car companies should have been doing but weren't doing. And now we're at a point where they have to do it. So there's a giant amount of development goes in. Even things like aerodynamics. If we can make the car more aerodynamically useful, then it'll go further without actually putting more batteries in it. Efficiencies, tires, rolling resistance, all that stuff all plays a part in all cars, but particularly electric cars, because electric cars are so sensitive to various things that are happening around them: inclines, hills, down slopes, recharge of regenerative braking, different levels. It's a huge amount of stuff, but usually the price of them is what the market will withstand, so what people are generally paying already, and then of course just how much the car costs. And electric cars, most electric car companies are not making the battery, they're buying the battery in, and so they have to pay the open market price of buying batteries, which is why the supply of them is actually kind of sporadic. So you get a group of electric cars that come, they sell out and they're gone, then the group come again, like the Volkswagen e-Golf when it came out first. Seemed to be the one that everybody wanted, but just couldn't get enough of them. Welcome to today's first new member of the Sunday Service Community Facebook page, Sebastian D. Command Sebastian has joined us on Facebook. I am now running about a half an hour behind the messages. I'm sorry. I was just so many messages. It's very hard to keep up with everybody. So patience. Stick with it to the end. I tried to get through as many messages as I possibly can. I missed out last week. I actually missed out on 10 or 11 messages at the end of it. So keep the messages coming. It'll be fine. I'll get through them all. We'll stick at it today till it's all done, because I don't have to cook any turkeys around today. Yes. So you can join our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group. You can ask messages. You can ask questions there. Many hundreds of you ask questions there, and I'm not the only one who answers them. Multiple others answer them quite regularly. So it's a brilliant little community to hang out in. You'll enjoy it. As much as I hate Facebook, I do love the Sunday Service community group. It's great crack. Cross says changes in technology won't hugely matter not to used EV buyers, because new car supply will always constrain for the next 10 plus years. Don't worry about buying. Look, when you're going out to buy a diesel car, you don't worry about how far the diesel is going to take you, right? What you need to worry about is, can you fit everything in it you want? Like, for instance, my Christmas car this year, Skoda gave me a Skoda Superb L&K, right? It's a 2-litre diesel. I could fit the universe in it. There's only 5 seats in it, but I could fit. Yesterday we did all the Christmas shopping and enough room yesterday to get a bike into the back of it as well, if I wanted it. Tons of space. So it suits me down to the ground. It's actually too big for me. I should have bought an electric car. So what I would probably buy right now, maybe I'd hang out for the Kona just because of the range, but the e-Golf would be fine. The Leaf would be fine. You know, they're all okay. They'll all do the job. So buy the car for the job you want it to be, rather than thinking about how far the electric car will go. If it's able to do what it's doing right now, it'll be able to do that for the next 10 years. So whatever that range is, if it's 200 kilometers from an i3 or from a Nissan Leaf or something, it'll still do 200 kilometers in 5 or 10 years time. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Are saloons dead? No. There's great value in the saloons market. If you look at what's out there right now, look at a Mazda 6. That thing is totally undervalued. Okay, so it's not electric. It's diesel. And the range is a bit short. But that's one of my favourite cars this year. Skoda Superb. Suspension's gone too soft, Skoda. Seriously, it's gone like a big wallaby thing. I don't know why they've made it so soft now. It was soft all along, but now it's like coming down off a speed bump now. I can hear the thing creak on the back. It's just very soft, but insanely comfortable. And the value in that segment, because they're overvaluing SUVs, and electric cars are slightly overvalued as well. So you have these range of saloons that are out there that people are shying away from. So the value in that market is very high. You can get a very decently spec'd saloon car for less than 30 grand. You won't get a decently spec'd SUV for that same money. And saloons generally are bigger, especially if you go for something like that Superb, which is like driving a truck. It's massive. Greek Roblox Gaming and More has a very long username, but has commented before. I recognise that name. Hi Bob, Merry Christmas to you and your family. Looking forward to your Christmas video. Thanks very much. Christmas video. Must finish that Christmas video actually. That would be good. I get around to everything eventually, but it's just me who does all this. So I'm trying to have Christmas and make content, and YouTube content really is demanding quite a bit. Because the channel is growing, and lots of views on the videos. God, there's so many views on the videos lately. Like a quarter. Is it a quarter of a million views every 20 days or something crazy? Some outlandishly mental number. It's like 1 million minutes have been watch time. So it's absolutely huge, and it's been brilliant. So I will get around to all the videos as much as I can, as fast as I can too. Ricky Finley. Oh no, sorry, it's cross answering Ricky Finley. There you are. See, we're all having conversations with one another now. This is brilliant. This is where the pressure goes off me. Thank God. Watermelon Gamer 210 says, "How are you, Bob? Love the hat. Thanks very much. Ta very much. No. Merry Christmas, Bob." Says Mick Mulcahy. Good man, Mick. Once pack price goes below $80 to $100 per kilowatt hour, the end production price of the car will be cheaper than combustion. Current predictions are that we'll hit that around 2023, 2025. Oh, hopefully I'll be retired by that stage. Are you going to Evolution because the Audi R9? Because it is. Well, no. Are you going to Evolution because there is an Audi R9 there? No. Not if somebody wants to invite me to things, I'll go along to stuff usually when I know about them, but I don't actively research these things. So if you could send me a link to whatever Evolution is, I'll let you know if I can go or not, unless it's in a different country. I'm not leaving the country over Christmas for sure. We're already at the point for someone doing 25,000 kilometers per annum that a Kona EV or similar has a better total cost of ownership over 5 years than a smaller combustion car. Yeah, maybe. Look, there is a mind shift. As much as Cross is right technically, you do have to shift your brain over to run on electric. It's a difficult shift for some people, and for some people only a Kona would work because they don't want to think about range. And other people, you have to remember that there's a massive swathe of people out there who bought a car 4 years ago and have never, after the warranty ended, they stopped servicing it, they don't open the bonnet, they don't look at the car, they put fuel in it once in a while and they just drive it around. They don't want to know any more about it. They have no interest. And then there's other people who like Excel spreadsheets and like formulas and things. And they are on the other end of the scale. They will take it straight on. They will go, right, I'm going to save this and this and this, and I'm interested in that, and they want to do it. And so the mind shift to shift over to electric, and I've always found this, that every night I come home and I'm thinking, should I plug it in? Will I need to do 200 kilometers tomorrow? Or could I just get away with leaving it half full? And there's this shift that has to happen in people's minds to see that working. It's not always just playing up mileage or cost of ownership or anything else. Sometimes it's just convenience. I've been able to put a full tank of diesel in the car and go, for the next 1,200 kilometers, I don't have to think about that. Mike McCready, Bob, my wife is reading an Agatha Raisin book on the sofa behind me. If you could ask Helen to make tea, be really freak her out and be ever so grateful. Now, Helen, if you could put down the book Agatha Raisin and go and make a cup of tea, and I'll have one, just a drop of milk, like builder's tea. It'd be lovely. Thanks very much. Cross, new i3 has a 43 kilowatt pack, 43.2 to be precise. I know I booked in another i3, which is the longer range, for next year. That's coming. Bushmills for whiskey in the house, except no substitute. There you are. See, I have Bushmills here as well. It's over there. I can see it from here. I won't say anything about that now. No drinking and driving. No drinking and driving. I have no intention of driving later on. There is no driving going to happen in the house. If anyone's going to drive, is my wife, who will be home from work and has not had a drink all day. So she can do any driving. That will happen later on, and I will not be driving. So I am allowed to have a little drop of something to warm the cockles of my heart. Jeff Firth, you can't build a cheap family car with a battery. The lithium costs so much and is only available in limited supply, and then you need to replace it in a few years. Don't know about the replacement part now, Jeff. No one's running around replacing too many batteries, and a few years would be a misnomer. Nobody's really got to the point of 10-15 years of ownership where we might see some of the cells dying, and at the moment we're making batteries which are cell derivatives, so we can replace individual cells within the batteries that have died. So unlike your phone, which is made up of just one big cell, if it dies, you replace the whole battery. It's done very conveniently. Imagine millions of these all strapped together in the boot of your car, and that you can take out one cell and replace it with that. So that will happen in the very near future. Not generation 1, but generation 2 Nissan Leaf is kind of built that way. If only to put in a proper heating system would be better for it. Darren Fahy, happy Christmas, Bob. Thanks very much. A question for Cross 13. There you go. Now you see Cross is getting his own questions. He should get his own little electric part of this channel. He'd be very good. He's on, by the way. Cross is the man behind this camera. He came in the Logitech camera I'm talking on, and he also is on our Facebook page. So if you've got questions, he answers them there too. Lots of i3 ranges. That's i3 Rex. If you ever see Rex's range extender with a little, it's got a little like a motorbike engine in the boot, runs on petrol. Second hand. Are they dodgy mechanically? I saw a great Spec 1 cars over 24k. No, they're not, believe it or not, but the range extender one is finished. It won't happen again because WLTP made that thing too expensive. So you're not going to see a range extender one coming into Ireland again. So if you can pick one up, they're okay. It is just a BMW motorbike engine in the boot. That's all. And it runs, you can hear it puttering away. I had one. You hear it puttering away in the background when it runs. It just charges the battery. You still go on electric. It's great. Lithium is only about 3% by weight of the average pack. Despite the name. Lithium ion pack. Finish the song, ladies. Da 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 dee da da dee da. Don't know. Who's ladies? There's ladies here? Is there ladies here? I've never seen a lady come on to Sunday. And I have actually. We have had a few ladies on the Sunday service. There's actually a great picture I put up of a lady I met at Sheehy Motors night. I was up in Naas and she wanted to get a selfie, and I actually got to take a selfie. I never got to take the bloody selfie the other round. Got to take a selfie. So she's on my Instagram, I think. She's lovely. Answer the pack's last life of the car, 15 to 20 years. The pack's last life on a car, if you got 20 years out of your petrol diesel car without replacing that on it, you'd be doing very well. Okay, I've caught up a bit. I'm only 20 minutes behind in the questions. I'm sorry. Cars and all. Have you a YouTube channel about cars? Do you want to collaborate? Oh, sorry. I've read that China is investing heavily in Africa. Yes, it is. In order to get their raw materials for battery production. Not too sure it's about the battery production part of it, but they're investing worldwide in all sorts of businesses. Africa is to China what China is to the rest of the world. Africa is a continent. Just bear that in mind, rather than being one particular country. The whole continent doesn't have lithium in it. But there will be certain bits of Africa which have already got. Now look, every car company will be going after lithium or going after battery packs or making batteries or whatever it is, while the demand is on. I think the big future, if you're interested in getting into this field, I think one of the two big futures is renewable resources, rather than continually making new battery packs all the time. Is being able to recycle the ones we've already got into something more useful. And then the other part will be different energy supplies. I mean, there will come a point where, I mean, lithium is, we're at the same idea where we're kind of pilfering bits from the earth to make energy work instead of making something we already have. So it's kind of similar to what we did with oil, only oil is 100%. Like, we pull oil from the ground, we skim the stuff off the top, and that's the petrol or diesel, and then we transfer the oil into petrol, whatever it is. So by that we do the same thing. We use 100% of that product, whereas lithium is, as Cross points out, only about 3% of the actual battery pack is lithium. Still needed. Mark Harrigan says, watching from the ferry in the middle of the Irish Sea. Merry Christmas, Mark. Congratulations. I hope it's not too rocky and blustery out there. Which way are you going? Are you coming over here? Are you going back over there? Let us know as to where you're heading for. I take it you're coming home for Christmas on the ferry. I've been there. I remember a couple of years ago, I came back from, I forget where. I think I was driving an Opel from Opel with Dave Humphreys, actually. I think I was driving an Opel all the way across France, Germany, Belgium. We went to Belgium and got a ferry back in the middle of winter from France. It was horrible. Nothing but truck drivers on board, about 10 of them. It was a horrible journey. But anyway, it was good crack. It was good fun, though. They were nice guys. Jeff Firth. Even China can't change the laws of physics or supply and demand. Lithium and other rare earths needed are in short supply worldwide. Hydrogen, the future of cars. Battery is a past thing. I don't agree, Jeff. Hydrogen is insanely expensive to make and requires a giant shift in the way we store energy. So the problem is, hydrogen is a liquid. You have to put it into a container to turn that into energy. So you don't actually burn hydrogen directly as an energy source for cars. That would be uneconomical. Honda tried it and still haven't gotten any further with their Clarity, was it called? And there's a couple of buses and stuff that are working on hydrogen. They've all got their own futures. A bit like saying diesel is the only future when petrol existed. It isn't. When diesel engines were created, when Mr. Diesel created diesel engines, he actually created them to run on peanut oil was the first fuel. But peanut oil was quite hard to get, and so diesel was a bit more plentiful, and so started creating fuel from oil because it was more plentiful. So it's hard to say that hydrogen is the only future, electric's the only future. You can't really. You don't know what way the market's going to fall and whether we'll find so much lithium at some point we don't ever need to pull any more out of the ground, or whether we get to a saturation point where there's enough battery cars out there to start recycling the batteries that are coming out into new batteries and so on. So I don't think that hydrogen is the only future. Neither do I think batteries are the only future, and neither do I think that we'll be driving diesel and petrol cars in 40 years from now. I don't think we'll be doing that either. So I think somewhere in between all of that is the actual truth. The rest is kind of make-believe that you might try to get there. Cross is answering Darren Fay's question there. Hydrogen has no future in the ground transportation. Lithium isn't a rare earth. It isn't. Rare earths, again, despite the name, are actually very common and also not essential for many battery chemistries. So do you know? It's not really that rare out there. But hydrogen's not terribly efficient. Even when Honda was putting out their press releases about it, they were saying you should get the same fuel economy as a petrol car, but could never actually get the same fuel economy as a petrol car. It just doesn't burn like that. So the only way out of it was to create a hydrogen pack. The pack transferred energy to a battery pack and the car would run on batteries. That was the plan. But hydrogen is very inefficient to make. So you can make hydrogen. All you need is electrolysis. You need electric cells and some water, right? A salty water, saline solution. And the steam that comes off, the gas that comes off is hydrogen. It's pretty straightforward. Look it up. There's millions of YouTube videos out there. But you could create a gigantic bag full of hydrogen and put it into your car and not be able to start it because there wasn't enough hydrogen in the first place. It's not very efficient as a fuel. So, as Cross says, for ground transportation, possibly hydrogen wouldn't have much of a future to it unless enormous investment goes into it. And I don't think anyone has enough investment money to invest in hydrogen and electric at the same time, try and develop that. I think it's all about electric for the moment, for the next 10 years, for sure. Hey Bob, do you thin? What's that mean? What's thin? Snazbot, I could see the hydrogen being used in trains, in large, possibly large things that are currently running on diesel, like our diesel fleet of trains, which could easily run on electric. You could easily run these things on electric. I mean, they do it all over Europe already. Multiple trains. Look at the Lewis. That's totally electric, running from cables above the head. We could easily do that here in Ireland, but unfortunately, Irish Rail want to charge you €100 for a bleeding ticket to go up to Dublin for 4 off a train, and don't want to invest any of that in the actual train, which seems really poor. We're so far behind. Look, public transport, the number one priority of public transport should be to move the public around. Currently, the number one priority for public transport is to make profit. It should never happen. Public transport should never make a profit. It shouldn't. Dublin Bus should never make money. The Lewis should never make money. The Irish Rail should never make any money. It should always be, they make a profit. That profit just goes straight back into the system to upgrade lines, to transfer over to electric, to put in electric overhead wires, whatever it takes to make the thing more and more efficient. That's what you do in the countries where you look at and you go, oh, their public transport system is so good. That's exactly what they've done over the years. Everything gets fired into public transport the whole time. Austria, fantastic public transport. When I was over on the Audi Q3 trip, I kept meeting buses going up and down the mountain on this drape of an Alp in Italy, northern Italy, kind of, northern Italy, sort of West Germany. You know, they kind of cross. There's a part where in Austria and stuff. There's a kind of a part where they all sort of brush off one another in that kind of area. And I asked the people at the top how much the bus was to go up and down, and it was €2. So €2 to go all the way down to the city, villages, cities, and it runs every hour, once an hour, every day of the week to commute for €2. You can't do that here in Ireland. It just can't be done for some reason. Do you think Ford will stop selling the Mondeo? No. Ford in Europe will not stop selling their best-selling cars. So Ford Focus has been their number one selling car forever, since it was invented. And before that, it was the Ford Escort, right? The Ford Mondeo has always been kind of their second best, if you leave out the commercial stuff, their second best selling vehicle that they have out there, apart from Fiesta. Kind of flipped over. Fiesta, Mondeo traded places. Focus and Mondeo, Focus and Fiesta traded places a few times. But basically they're their top 3 selling cars. There'd be no reason to get rid of the Mondeo unless they were suicidal in their business maneuverings, unless they've got a bloody good reason behind it. I know the US has stopped making cars and now they just make trucks. So the F-150 is there. But the Ford F-150 has been their top selling car in the United States since the dawn of time, since they first created it. It's always been their best selling car. So they sell next to nothing in comparison to Ford Focus and Ford Mondeo over there, in next to zero in comparison to the Ford F-150. So they'll get rid of it in America, not here. I think the 1.6 litre EcoBoost is a big name for Firestarter. The 1 litre, the blocks were just cracking and overheating mainly. Ford blamed the owners. BBC Watchdog in the UK highlighted, and then they changed their tune. So there you are, good information coming in there. We're pretty close to getting the lithium from seawater at the market price, destination byproduct. Nickel and spherical graphite are major supply issues, not lithium or rare earths. The depth of knowledge of Cross 13 continues to surprise me regularly. And spherical graphite is only in short supply because of a deficit in manufacturing plants. I've used hydrogen in 2 of the few applications that make sense. Remote power storage for military applications and backup power for data center applications. Right, there's uses for hydrogen. I suppose you could store it as well. Look, the proper future for ordinary people sitting at home. One of the best hopes we have is things like Tesla Powerwall, where we have a power source that's strapped to the side of our house that's charged by solar, that's possibly charged by wind power or whatever. You know, you've got all of that aspect of stuff that's going on right now, this minute, that if with investment, with time, with money, we will see a payment come back out of that. That power walls, not just Tesla's not the only one making it, by the way, many others. But that power wall system, I believe, is going to be more of the future ever than hydrogen could be. I think that the software that runs that system, that shuttles that power around to where it's needed, that stores it when it's not needed, that kind of stuff is the real future that you got to be looking out for right now. The dreamland stuff is things like hydrogen or CO2 collection from the atmosphere by Hoover or something. They're dreamland stuff. That's a part of a future. The current future right now is electric. That's the only way to go for the next few years. No way you will get lithium from seawater at economical price. Graphite, etc. No one can make it economically. You still have a cost problem for mass motoring. Roland, experts are here today. Watermelon Gamer 210 asks the serious question, the most serious question, the absolute pinnacle of question this time of the year: is Santa real? And the answer to that is yes, of course he is. If you believe it, it is real. There is no way around this. This is not going to happen any other way, right? Loads of people think that he's not, and some people think that he is, and other people believe whatever they want to believe. For me, real. Absolutely. It is the spirit of Christmas. It is the most important part of Christmas for kids, for adults, for everybody. You got to believe in something, guys, and you got to be part of that future. And you got to pass on that message to everybody. Simple as that. This time of the year, it makes no difference. Hydrogen cars already on the road. Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, etc. Infrastructure starting to be rolled out, but hydrogen is the power source of sense for trucking. No one waiting to refuel for 4 hours. We'd have to debate that one. I'm afraid. I think there's multiple ways that's moving ahead. I think everybody has an opinion of where it can and can't go, where it will and won't go. I think that same sort of opinion was given when cars appeared first. The very first cars that ever appeared 100 years ago. When we were just basically breaching the 100-year mark for when cars really came around. We're still in the infancy of how this personal transport thing is. And the idea of even having personal transport is a relatively modern thing. Before the invention of cars, the majority of people walked everywhere or cycled everywhere. Taxis were horse-drawn carriages, or friends had them, and I know that's just the way it was. That's just the way life was. Now we think everybody has to own their own personal space and own a house and own a car. You know, you don't actually have to own a car if you don't want to. It's an awful drain on your pocket, in fairness. If you're starting out as a young person in Ireland, one of the most expensive things you can ever buy is a car. It's a huge expense. So if I could go back in time, I didn't love cars, I wouldn't have bought one. I just cycle everywhere. It's what I used to do when I had no money as well. Santa Fe is as real as it gets. Well, I have to go back. When it fills in, it just jumps forward and it fills in the thing. It's no good. I went back too far now. Sorry. I'm getting back to where I was any minute now. Nearly there. I see spherical graphite, so we're doing well. We're getting back to where we were. Santa Fe is a really good. Yes, there we go. Right, no. Again, EV already beat combustion on 5-year, 25,000 per annum TCO. Materials cost for new cells already around $70 for 100 kilowatt hours. As the manufacturing cost drops, we'll be getting close to the magic $100 per kilowatt hours. You see, it's even a different language when you're talking about electric cars and petrol and diesel cars and fuel sources and how it works. It just is. It's a different language, and you will get your head around it over time. Right now, it's all about brand, which is the next question from Des Chambers. Hi Bob, do you think the Tesla Model 3 will do well in Ireland? I think if they don't hurry up and move their asses very quick, someone is going to sweep up the market away from what Tesla Model 3 was about to do. What Tesla Model S did was remarkable. It made electric cars desirable. As much as you can laugh at their manufacturing qualities, at the build quality, or whatever it is you want to laugh at about the way Tesla go on, or the language that they use, like ludicrous speed, or HEPA filters being passed off as being something that can stop a chemical attack outside. It's just a HEPA filter, right? It's been available in Volvo for years, but they did change something about the way the world thought about electric cars. And one of those changes is to look at something like Model 3 now. Model 3 is supposed to be the affordable Tesla, and they're talking about a 40 grand price tag, 50 grand price tag. That moves around depending on who you talk to in the Tesla model range. You'll either hear, we don't know our price yet, or 60 grand, 50, 40. It's a big difference in a whole lot of them. The big thing is you've got so many new players that have hit the market this year that are already selling their car. Look at what Hyundai is doing with the Kona, right? You've got a proper 5-door hatchback made by a proper car company with a proper dealer network around the country. They're about to put out a car that can do about the same range as Model 3. But it'll be wrapped up in a 5-door hatchback. Kia are putting out their Niro EV. They've already got the hybrid one out. PHEV one out, and they're putting on an electric version of that Niro. You've got Audi on the other end who are doing their E-Tron stuff with their SUV end of the market, which is going to be the pricier end of the market. You've got Volkswagen going to bring out an e-Golf that'll go further. There's a Volkswagen ID which is currently in development. I think that's going to be out 2020. They're talking about Volkswagen put the foot on the pedal. They'll push that out by the end of 2019. There's so many other things that are about to burgeon onto the market as a choice and alternative to the Model 3. Tesla are masters at marketing. Elon Musk is a master marketeer. If he does it right, he'll get sales. If he hasn't got enough batteries, enough storage, enough ability, enough network to go with it, he won't. He's playing a very long, very difficult game with some really powerful competition. It would do well if you can get enough of them. But if you can't get enough of them, no. David Q has joined the Sunday Service community over on Facebook. You can join the Sunday Service community on Facebook as well. It's totally free, but it is a closed group, so you need to apply to join. And if you look sane and have some sort of a user profile, you can get in. If you have a big closed private thing and it looks like a little icon for Facebook or whatever, we don't. So you need to be a human being for start. You can also support this channel and its freeness across the world. It is Christmas and all that. We still have well over 70 people watching this at the same time. You can support the channel by using the super chat icon down below, or you can do PayPal if you wish, or you can physically send me money if you want, whatever you want to do. Anything that supports the channel is always massively appreciated. We do put an awful lot of effort into doing these every Sunday. My God, we're down to the last 35 minutes. It is the fastest moving 2 hours every single week that I do this. I'm always amazed how fast you all turn up, how many questions there are, how many answers there are, how many people become regulars. A regular, beautiful community that started from zero. I remember the first couple of weeks I did this, you have maybe 20 people watching. Now it's an amazing thing. Now it's 70 people a minute now. It's absolutely huge. And a couple of weeks ago, one of the Sunday services passed 2,500 views or something here just on Facebook, and then another 5,500 or 6,000 or something on podcasts. So it goes out. It's a huge amount of people. There's a massive amount of people behind this. It's become its own life, which is brilliant, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. But 2 hours is nearly too short now. I never get through all the questions. Some of the questions, the next question I see on the screen is from 2:59 and it's 3:26, so I'm over half an hour behind. I'm sorry. I'm getting there though. Anyway, it's from Cross. Every Mirai, which is the Toyota Mirai, I did physically sit in one here in Dublin. There was one here for 2 days. I physically had a look at it, a little push and pull of the thing. It looked interesting, I must say. It looked interesting. Totally hydrogen powered. So he says it cost Toyota $100,000 to build. The infrastructure costs 10 times per pump what EV rapid charging costs. H2 is 20 times the price of off-peak electricity. H2 efficiency of production and distribution is unfixable and the cause of the high price. So what you have to remember here is, from a logical point of view, even taking what he just said a second ago, petrol and diesel's in the ground in a gigantic tank surrounded by concrete. So if a petrol pump, God forbid, would become disconnected, all kinds of systems break off. You can have fires on the pump surface, so at pump level, but the fire won't go down like you see in the Hollywood movies where the whole thing goes and everything explodes. That won't happen. The flames can't reach the tanks under the ground because there are systems that go into place. As soon as the hose hasn't got pressure behind it, there's all kinds of systems closed down to stop the hoses, stop the flames going down through the tubes. But to put hydrogen at a petrol station and to fill up like a petrol car requires a different tank, a whole other tank that has to be put in. And you can look at it in all kinds of ways as putting in a new tank. You put it over the ground, under the ground, all sorts of ways. But the security and safety storage investment level is gigantic. It can already cost, just to put in an electric charge point, for instance, for a petrol station, can cost 10 grand to put in a fast charge, one fast charge point. Now imagine spending multiples of that to put in a tank on the surface or under the ground for a petrol station, secure it, get supply coming to it, and put in a new pump out the front just because there might be one hydrogen fuel car in the country. 2, 3. And the price of these hydrogen fuel cars are gigantic, as was pointed out there. A cost of building one Toyota Mirai, whatever it's called, is 100 grand. So it's a gigantic expense that needs to go into these things. So it's a difficult one. An ice driver, oh sorry, I'm reading the end of another sentence there. Superb has Simply Clever hatchback saloon opening boot officially sold as either in estate or hatchback form. This is true. Superb is one of my favourite cars. I have to see this. Oh yeah, no, I see that. Yes, I do see that. Andy McAfee not only keeps me messages on screen, but has also messaged me here as well while I'm at it. Yeah, that's okay. Right, watermelon. I like you, watermelon person. You were asking me questions there a second ago. We'll come back to that. Not on the Facebook page, I'm afraid. Oh, you're not? Okay. Hey Bob, Merry Christmas, says Leanne. See, there is women here. Look, there's Leanne Donlan. I know there was someone here who was from women. Merry Christmas. Congratulations on getting to the Sunday service again today. Watermelon Gamer has done a Twitch TV link. I suppose you can have a look at that if you want. Twitch TV. Watermelon Gamer. Good man. I hope it's... No, I haven't verified what this Watermelon Gamer does, right? This could be anything. But if you want to go and have a look at his stream, you can. Mike McCready. Bob, it feels like mainstream manufacturers have entered the electric race properly now. What will it do to Tesla? Well, see, Tesla's got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies at the moment. You might have seen Casey Neistat's video of the tunnel thing that he's talking about, the boring company. That boring company is stupid. But look, they're not a car manufacturer. Elon Musk is a master at marketing, and all he really wants to do is make batteries. That's really what batteries is where he's at. He could make a lot of money out of making enough batteries for everybody, and so the super plants or whatever you call them, things he's making, that's where his money is. To make a car is a difficult thing, but to make a car and then sustain the car over time is even harder. So the reason why Ford is usually at the top of the game, or Volkswagen is usually top of the game, is because they have enough dealers to service an area. So if you sell a car, and I'm going to take Ireland for an example here, you sell a car in Cork and it breaks down, but the person broke down in Mayo, you've got two choices here. Three. One is you tow the car back to the main dealer that he bought it from. 2, you bring it to the nearest main dealer that services that brand. Or 3, you just leave them stranded out there somewhere, right? If you look at my Instagram the other day, I actually tweeted a picture of myself. Well, it was Leah Carroll took that picture actually. But it's me looking out the window of a car going, what service vehicle do you think Tesla uses in Ireland? And it's actually a Ford Transit is what they're using as their Transit Connect. So that there you're on is the support of the person having a car. So Tesla themselves are doing a really good job, and it'll make good work for them. But when Hyundai entered the game, when Volkswagen entered the game, when all those other major manufacturers entered the game, they're not entering just as making enough cars. They're entering because they can support the cars as well. So when it goes out to a dealer network and they sell a Hyundai in Cork, they can support it anywhere in the country, and in actual fact anywhere in Europe. They can bring it to any of their main dealers and have it serviced because of the training network behind it. Because all of the dealers send their mechanics on all kinds of training courses all over the country and all over the world. Some of those master mechanics go over to Korea to train with the Koreans on how to make these cars work properly. That training is bought. That costs money. And that's something Tesla hasn't invested in. So if you buy a Tesla in Ireland right now and you break down, for whatever reason, you break down, I don't know, in Mayo or something, there are no dealers. There's nothing. there's a experience place up in Dublin and Sandyford. You can go in and see these cars, but they don't have any of that technical support stuff. It just gets, they have to send out that Ford Transit Connect to get it done for you. And so when the rest of the electric mob come in, you'll see the market will divide out back to the brands. So it'll come back to whether you want a Volkswagen, a Tesla, a Hyundai. It'll be in that same branch. The thing is, Tesla's actually, to buy a Tesla right now is more expensive than buying a diesel Audi. You could buy an A6 tomorrow for 60 grand, do 1,200 kilometers on one tank of diesel. You buy a Tesla, you'll do 400 kilometers, and it's going to cost you over 100 grand to buy a model, the P100D. So, you know, it's cost a lot. Bob T says, hello Bob, looking at getting a new BMW 330i, thoughts, any others to consider. At the moment, I haven't driven the new 3 Series, the one that's coming next year. So I've only sat in the thing, and it's going to be doing a tour of the country, of various dealers in the country. So if you want to see it up close and personal, you can. Looks outstanding. Looks aside, I think it's going to be fairly standard, because 3 Series, like the A4, like the C-Class, gets sold into fleet a lot, so you end up in a fleet system. Nothing wrong with fleet systems, but it tends to be devalued a little bit. 3 Series is a big car as well. A4 will be due a refresh soon, next couple of years. That'll be the main competitor. C-Class is actually a pretty good car, but it's a bit tight in the back compared to the 3 Series. 3 Series has it nailed on all fronts. If you're looking for it, maybe you look at the hangout for there might be an electric version or PHEV version of the 330. Might be worth a look at. You get a lot of torque on that. If the 530e is anything to go by, the 330e is going to be a lovely car to drive. So hopefully it'll be good. But I wouldn't consider a whole lot of other things in that segment because it's just so new. Andy McAfee reminds me to give a shout out to Jim, the bus driver, who's missing action the last couple of weeks. Jim drives a bus locally here in Portlaoise, in Laois, and regularly every Sunday is out delivering people to and from their houses and back and forward up around the town here. And so he streams us through the bus speakers. So the Sunday service actually goes out and gets streamed on a bus as well every Sunday, a bus with 70 people on it. So it's a bit of fun to have the bus drivers on. It has been mentioned to me. I have had that conversation in Portlaoise. I was on a bus and I heard your voice. The thing, you're not a very good radio station. I go, I'm not a radio station. There's no ad breaks though, I'll say that for it. Andy says public transport up here is privately owned, publicly controlled. Company is allowed, if any profits, to have 5% government, rest is reinvested. We are privately run here as well. A lot of those green buses see around Ireland are actually funded by Bus Éireann to do that job, and they make money from the tickets, which is why the tickets are so cheap. The problem is we're not really reinvesting that money in future. So in what's coming next and what's going to be around for the next 20, 30 years, we're not really investing our public transport money in that. It's been pulled away and being invested in bailing out banks and giving more money towards care homes or whatever it is. You know, it's been pushed that direction rather than pushed through. As 20 years from now, we are going to need much more public transport infrastructure than we have now. Much more. In 20 years time, there's going to be 8 million people in Ireland. 20 to 25 years time. I bet you I'm not that far wrong either. We'll be getting back up towards where we were before the famine in Ireland hit us in the first place, which was 8.5 million people or something in population before the famine. Sorry, it was dropped us down to nearly 3.5 million. We're still recovering from that. We're up at 4.5, nearly 5 now. It'll be 8 in 20 odd years, and in that point, we cannot have 6.5 million people living in Dublin and everyone else living in the country and no way of connecting the two up. We have to continue to connect up. Our public train system is rubbish, to say the least, and is run by nutcases as far as I can see, because they don't seem to do anything about making the lines more accessible or reasonably priced or encouraging more people to use it. They just want to make these kind of first class carriages, second class carriages, really expensive tickets. They rely entirely on leap cards, on buying tickets way in advance. They don't care about people who want to go to just Dublin for the day, just to go out, to go here, there, everywhere. They don't think about it, and that's constant here in Ireland. In Thessaloniki, Greece, we still have 1998 buses. We still have them as well. So they're very good at what they are, though. They're old school. At least one way ticket is 50 cent and reduced to, and €1 normal trains could be better. We're the very same, really old buses, but we paid through the bleeding nose for them. Mark Harrigan says, Bob, heading from Liverpool to Belfast, back home for Christmas, only passed my driving test 6 weeks, but still a bit of an adventure. Good man. Nothing like that trip. That's a great trip, in fairness to it. Belfast would be gorgeous time of year. Very north, though. It's been raining here all day. It's cleared up now, but it says very north at the moment. But it'd be beautiful up there around Belfast. If you all weren't part of Brexit, it'd be much more fun. But anyway, Liverpool is a beautiful city. I spent many a happy day out there with a fella called Mark and his wife Jean in Liverpool. He has a place just outside of Liverpool. It's a private house. He has what was built as a go-kart track, but he expanded it, made it a bit bigger, and we just did donuts all day in cars. That's all we did all day. It was stupid, absolutely stupid. Years ago, but it was good fun. Great memory to have. Where are we now? Hang on, that's loading in. I knew it was going to do that to me, but I caught it, I think, in time. Maybe I didn't. No, I didn't. It just scrolled forward like a lunatic. We've caught up though, we're alright. Shit, I don't know. Cars on. Do you have a Camry review coming up soon? I'm curious about what you'll think of it. Wonder if it will sell as well as the Avensis. It won't. Look, I don't have a review. I haven't got it booked in either. In fairness, the Camry still hasn't got a proper delivery date here in Ireland. I'm in good contact with Des Hughes Motors here. Brent and Des Hughes will let me know when there's one in the showroom down there to have a look at. I've seen it. I think it's got a lot of reminiscing about it. I think people are going to reminisce and go, oh, the days when Camrys were brilliant and the Avensis and the Carina E and it was great. So there's a lot of nostalgia around the Camry, and I think Toyota might be relying very heavily on that nostalgia to pull them through, despite what you see in the newspapers about various parts of Toyota and what they're going to do. Toyota still have an old man image, they still have a very expensive image, and they still don't seem to put a lot of kit with cars as standard. Everything seems to be optional here in Ireland, but they're doing their job in the new car market, in the hybrid range, and they've pushed really hard in the marketing front this year. It's very youthified, but I'm not sure it's going to work. I think still some of the cooler brands are still offering PCP and are still offering, decent financials behind their brands, and I think that might hurt what Camry's about to try and do. Everybody wants to go on a Camry because it scratches that itch of nostalgia, and that's really what it's all about. 20 minutes left. Keep those questions coming. It's all good. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button and the comment button and the super chat button if you want as well, and the PayPal button. There's all kinds of buttons there. It's always good to get any of that you can, and I know everyone's saving their money and their pennies and spend a bloody fortune on Christmas. I did as well, but anything you can do to support the channel and keep it free, it's always brilliant. Just for this Sunday special, and we are going to have a meet in January, by the way. I think looks good. Well, according to the Facebook group, all of that seem to want to do it, so I'm okay with that. If somebody wants to do that, millions of messages coming in on my phone. I have millions of messages. Who's doing this to me? There's WhatsApp messages and all sorts. I'll get around to everybody in a minute, but what I'm going to do is look at the calendar right now and just see if there is a date we can look at in January to catch up on one of the Sundays. I want to see if I can have one with a nice card you might all like. The 20th of January is looking good, and the 27th of January. So there are 2 dates I'm going to try out there. 20th and 27th of January. Are they Sundays? They are Sundays, yeah. 20th and 27th of January, just to be on the south side. And see if those dates come anywhere near what you're thinking of. Burgundy, classy. Ferry, you're all talking about ferries, not Dublin to Holyhead. Ferries, not it. I've done that many times. God almighty. It's great, actually. We did it used to be a fast ferry between Dublin and Holyhead. That was really good. I don't have to get rid of that, though. This is called a Swift or something. Something like that, yeah. David Ryan. Hi Bob, for the cost of a vehicle, do you agree build quality in the Tesla product can be a little suspect in some areas? Audi and Mercedes vehicles usually bang on. Yes, I do, David, 100%. The Tesla cars are made, they buy in parts from everybody. They don't really make all them parts, they assemble them. Most of the parts are coming out of Mercedes, which is why when you jump in you go, I'm sitting in an E-Class. I'm sure I'm sitting in an E-Class, but an E-Class from maybe 15 years ago, that's what they do. So they buy in the bits and pieces. And try and get assembly in that way. So sometimes the shut lines don't work out because they're a young car company. You can't expect someone who just walks in and goes, all right, I'm going to make cars. I'm going to make 5,000 cars a year. Let's see how we do that. And they're going to put 5,000 doors on the driver's side of the car. Absolutely spot on. Big car companies get it wrong too. but they've put systems in place to fix that as they go along, whereas Tesla's just learning as they go. So Tesla build quality isn't the best, but then the evangelists come out of the woodwork everywhere and go, oh, Tesla's fantastic, how dare you talk about Tesla like that. To me, it's just another car company. I don't care what they're doing. If it's something remarkable, brilliant. If there's not something remarkable, it's like, yeah, well, that's just Tesla, isn't it? Joe Leddy, hey Bob, you just joined in on a tea break. Oh man, Joe Leddy, she make a tea? Ah, you're so good. You're spoiled. You're spoiled. Get up off your arse, make your own tea next time. Mark Harrigan, Andy McAbee, I'd read up and did exactly that, abusing the satellite internet from my cabin. The Swift is a great idea. The boat isn't exactly full of things to do for 8 hours. That's true. The boat to England can take a long time. Remember, it's the only way to go to England one time. It's the only way anyone could afford, because flying cost a bloody fortune. So everybody went on foot on the ferries. It was great. Great times were had. David Ryan. Yep, Q&A in particular is not up to scratch, but has improved greatly over the years. With an EV or any price point, the money is gunk into the powertrain. True. VW fan, happy Christmas, Father Bob. Thank you very much, VW fan. Petrol down to 136.8. Took long enough to drop off. Oil down to $56 now. Yeah, and it's funny, we're on high demand, and yet the price of oil is falling, which is really funny. I found it kind of odd this year. That either means it's going to go up massively in January, which is time now to buy your petrol. It is dropping, and now, like I say, we have had on our Facebook page, on the Sunday Service Community Facebook, a lot of complaints about apple green fuel, and it's only apple green people are pointing at. Now, for years, I know Maxol have been doing a fantastic Irish job on fuel, because they do Irish fuel, so the mixture there is quite high. Funny enough, I was reminded the other day that if you can't smell petrol when you're pumping petrol, it's not very good petrol. And I know that may seem weird, but you know when you're pumping petrol into the tank and there's no smell of it, it's very low in its combustion, in like the run of it. Whereas the old Maxol stuff would make you hold your nose for a minute, the sting of the thing. But it is more expensive. So horses for courses, you have to save a bit of money here and there where you can. We just jumped in a massive way again. Sorry lads, there's so many questions. I am flying through. There's still over 70 people a minute watching this thing asking questions, so it's quite hard to keep up with all the questions. Joe Lady, yeah, but Johnny, there's that Joe Lady question right. I got that happy Christmas right. I've been on the very many times. Yeah, the Kona EV powertrain costs as much as the whole rest of the car. That is surprising. P.S. Congratulations on passing the old test there. What have you picked as your first car? Oh no, that's a totally different conversation between two people. I just walked into the middle of a conversation there. I'm terribly sorry. Column F, Tesla P100D, Irish list price 153,000. Look up the X, the Model X. Bloody hell, it make your eyes water, the price of that yoke. It's really expensive. Really, like, savagely expensive. But you know, if that's what you want, and you want a car that's able to bow the doors in and get into a parking space, I mean, what's wrong with just opening the door and getting out of the car? But it's a lot of money. If you want to show off and you want to show how much money you got, I suppose Tesla's the way to go. You could do it that way. But I don't know if in the future we can't continue to sustain that volume of money for an electric car. That's where the Hyundai Kona comes in. That's where the Kia Niro come in. That's where any electric cars that are forthcoming ones, the normal ones, we'll all buy into it. Some point of electric that will be affordable to us. And I just think that Tesla right now are riding on a crest of people who are anxious to get into the electric race and see Tesla as the way to do it. I just think we don't have enough second-hand used car market values have not leveled off yet, and they won't level off for another 5-6 years before the electric car market levels out and we find a proper baseline price for these things as a used car. Jared Hewitt is here. Jared, I know Jared. Happy Christmas, Bob. Good luck with 2019. Catch up with you in the new year. You will. I will phone you, or you will phone me, one or the other, and we will meet up and have a coffee at some stage. Column F, the equivalent to the SP100D is the RS6 at 140k. The base model S is 86,000. Andrew Boag, hi Bob, have a great Christmas, excellent show as usual, thank you. I'm thinking of changing the old Audi Allroad next year. What to go up next? Ooh, don't go on new Allroad, that's for sure. I love the Allroad. I think Allroad is one of the most underrated cars over all the years. It was also really expensive, but you got what you paid for. It was a serious car, very hard to move from that point. You could look at the Audi E-Tron if you want to go electric. I'm thinking electric as well, of course. If you're not happy with that kind of thing and you want to go continue into the Volkswagen group, there's a multitude of Skodas that are going to come on the market over the next while, which all look very interesting. We'll see how simply clever they are when they actually come out. But if you're coming from Audi all-road, you're going to have to stick into that. Depends on what year you're coming from, of course, but you're probably going to stick in around that same level of car, and there's just so much choice in the market right now that moving from an all-road is going to be difficult, honestly. Huggles Cake says in the US you can get a litre of gas for 50 cent. A litre of gas for 50 cent. We all move to the US and just draw down their fuel. 344. Yeah, we've caught up on you. I've caught up on you. Would you believe that? I've caught up on your questions. Giant SUVs are making a comeback. That is true. Annie McAfee Town's got a VW Golf 2-litre TDI. Lovely car. Yeah, I like that. My whole family are VW fanatics, and that is probably true. I would suggest that is pretty normal for a lot of your families out there. I often find that people have a group of cars that the whole family goes through. So if one person has a Ford, if dad has a Ford or mom has a Ford, that it tends to be the whole family start to buy into the whole Ford market. I also notice the sun is going down. Do you know, here's the piece of useful hope you have for the future. We have already passed the winter solstice, was on the 21st of December, and that was the shortest day of the year. So we are already heading back towards spring and summer, when growth returns and everything starts to move again. And by the way, things are actually still growing. So today, the average temperature today was 7 degrees, and grass doesn't really stop growing until about 7 degrees, which is why the grass in your backyard still looks a little bit long and looks like it needs another mow. Some grass actually grows down to maybe 4 degrees, different kinds of grass. But most of the trees have gone to sleep and winter has kind of settled in. It will feel darker as spring comes, particularly after Christmas. Right now we're surrounded by all these lights and twinkly trees and things, and when that goes in January the 5th or so, when that's kind of comes to an end, it can feel like a miserable time. You're not alone though. No one is alone. We've always got someone around us that we can ask for help from or talk to, particularly now when we have the internet and we have days like this where we all sit around talking to one another. So the big message that we take away today is keep your head straight in that respect. Keep thinking ahead. What's coming next? How can you get around what it is? The problems you have right now, the issues you're going through, are almost always really short term. They're almost always a point of time where it will pass. It will go by and you never have to think about it again. No matter how difficult, no matter how hard it may seem, no matter what you read in the news, and try and stay away from the newspapers and things over the Christmas and over New Year. They tend to just breed misery in your head because they only show you the bad things in life. And right now, there's lots to be thankful for, and lots that has happened over the last few months that is really worth paying attention to. When you come down to this point of the year and you're looking into the new year, it's important to always keep in mind just don't forget what you just did, what you've achieved. If you go back 10 years and look 10 years ahead, would you think you are where you are now 10 years ago? When I think 8 years, I think it's 8 years as I started this channel, something 7 or 8, between 7 and 9 years ago I started this YouTube channel. I would have thought back then it was going to be tiny, that I would have fallen off a cliff after 12 months because there was no big YouTuber back then. There was none of that sort of stuff. And here I am 8 years later, the biggest car YouTube channel in Ireland, and still doing it all on my own. So it's gorgeous, lovely place to be, and there's lots of hope coming for 2019 as well. Lots of cool crap going to happen on this channel over the next few months, and it'd be lovely to bring you all along with me, particularly the guys who started off way back when, commenting on videos that have been stuck around since then as well. There's a few of you, and of course we've lost other people like George Falls had died this year as well. He's one of the founding group members of this entire thing, and very early on I was at a meeting, a cars and coffee thing on a Sunday down in Carlow. I met him there, and he's gone from us now as well. So you see how fast things change. So it's people you miss at this time of the year and not things. And I always try and force that into people's minds that, you know, you can tweet pictures of your holidays or your Instagrams or whatever it is, but really that's all short-lived. It's the people you meet on those adventures and those times that will stick with you, and not really the adventure itself. And so the only message I got to take away from today is, first of all, join the Facebook group. The Facebook group is very good, and that's where we organise our days, the meets, the meetups, and our questions stuff. It's all organised through Facebook. So join the Sunday Service community on Facebook. Andy has put out multiple messages there. Just scroll back up and find Andy McAfee's name, and you can join the Facebook group and be part of that little group. And when we put up an event, then you will see it as an event, and you know where it's on and what time it's happening at. We will probably physically meet each other again on the 23rd. This December. The 20th or the 27th of January is when our next full meetup will happen. Probably again here in Midway. It was very successful here in Midway. Everyone seemed to enjoy the drive down, and plenty of places for everyone to hang out and do. So you can drop down to us at that point and meet us. But between now and then, you need to take care of yourself. And what I'm going to do is call it to an end there at 15:52 because it's all quieting down and everybody's starting to wind into the evening. And it's getting dark outside, which is quite nice as well. But I'm going to go and enjoy my Christmas as much as I can. If you need me, I will always be on that Facebook page or here on YouTube, or bobflav@thenextgear.com if you want to email me privately, or send me a DM if you're feeling lonely or tired or pissed off, or whatever it is this time of the year that has your problems. Don't forget, just jot those names down somewhere first. Maybe you'll meet somebody who needs those names, of Pieta House, of Aware, of the Samaritans, of Childline. Samaritans is one that I do talk about quite a bit to physically the people. You can phone them on 1850 609 090. So 1850 609 090, or Pieta House is just a free phone number, 1-800 247 247. If you ever need help from those people, and if you're under 18, or if you're a young person and you need to talk to someone, Childline comes highly recommended. I've never called them, but they do come highly recommended. Totally free. You can call from any phone anywhere in the country. 1-800 66 66 66. You can call them at any time as well. So get in touch with one of them if you need help over the Christmas. Don't be alone out there. But for those who aren't alone, and those who are looking forward to open their presents on Christmas morning, I wish you the very best Christmas for you and your family. I hope Santa Claus brings you everything you wished for on your long list. And when it comes to the new year, please be responsible, take it easy, get through it, and on the 2nd of January we'll all be back to work, back to normal life, back to average Joe stuff all over again. But for the very least, hopefully you'll enjoy your 25th of December. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas and the very happiest of New Year's to every single one of you. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.